We're joined now by the third-ranking Democrat in the House of Representatives. He is Representative Jim Clyburn, a Democrat of South Carolina. He's the majority whip. So, Congressman, thank you so much for being with us today. This is an historic day. There's a nomination. And I want to point out that yesterday was actually the 55th anniversary of the Watts riots in Los Angeles. What does it tell us historically about the fact that we now have the first African-American woman, the first Asian-American woman nominated for a vice presidential position, and yet it was expected? It was actually the conventional wisdom. Does that say we've made some progress in this country?
Well, thank you very much for having me. First of all, I would say that the pursuit of happiness in this country is an eternal one. We're always in search of making a more perfect union that all of us are privileged to live within. And that means that the pursuit is always there. It's never going to be perfect, but you should always be in pursuit of it. And these are steps along the way. I think that Kamala Harris brings to this ticket a diverse background, rooted not just in skin color, but in gender, not just in what we might call socialization, but she is a graduate of an historical black college and university. She's a very active member in a sorority that was the first sorority for African-American women, or at least college sorority for African-American women. And so she has the kind of background that will bring to this administration a depth and a breadth that has never been there before. And so I think that Joe Biden has done himself a lot of giving himself a lot of credit for picking her. And I think that she will do what a lot of us started out trying to do back in the 60s, because the Black Lives Matter movement is a very successful movement. It has picked up support from places that we never thought we would see support from before. And more than 70% of the American people support this movement. And so I believe that putting her on this ticket, running the kind of campaign that I know that will run, is going to get this country closer to perfection. And that is what we're all about.
So, Congressman Clyburn, I know that you were advising Vice President Biden throughout this process, although you didn't necessarily recommend one person. In your advice, what is the most important trait that Senator Harris brings? Is it her campaigning, that she's a vigorous campaigner? Is it her policy positions? Is it her ability to step in and do the job if, heaven forfend, we would need her to be president?
I would say all of the above. She brings to this ticket a smorgasbord of qualifications. She is a sharp debater. We have seen that as she performed as a member of the Judiciary Committee. She is, as I said, experienced in the kinds of backgrounds that we need sensitivity from in our government today. She has won statewide office in California. She has served in the United States Senate. And quite frankly, she has the kind of skill set that I think are necessary in order to win this year. This is going to be a tough campaign. No matter what we may see, what the polls may be saying, this is going to be a very tough campaign. We found out that just being popular, winning the popular vote, won't get it. We did that before. You got to win in strategic places. And I think that she gives to this ticket the ability to win in those strategic places.
Congressman, as you say, it's going to be a tough campaign. We already saw right away out of the White House a response to Senator Harris's nomination. One of the things that they really are picking on is she tends to be a socialist, they would say. She goes to the radical left. She did take a position of eliminating private insurance and health care during the campaign, although she backed off of that some. Is there a vulnerability there that the Trump campaign can exploit, that she is too far left?
Well, you know, I say all the time, the country does not move on a linear plane. This country is always going back and forth like a pendulum on the clock. It goes right for a while, it goes back left for a while. It went left when they elected Barack Obama. It went right when we elected Donald Trump. And from the moment people got an experience with him, they started back to the left. But I always say, going left to right, right to left, it passes through the center. So this country camps out more in the center than it does to the left or the right. And I really believe that this ticket is right where the country is today, moving back to the left, but more a little center right. It may move center left, but this ticket is right where the country is. And I'm very proud of this ticket.
Congressman, one of the things that commends Senator Harris, at least to some people, is her law enforcement experience, both as a district attorney in San Francisco and then as the California State Attorney General. And that might be helpful to a President Trump who's really addressing the law and order and really pushing that button hard. On the other hand, could it somewhat dampen the enthusiasm from the African-American community, particularly from males, because of her prosecutorial history of being very tough on some young African-American males?
Well, I think that being tough is something that we have to really qualify. It's a quantification that needs to be qualified, in my opinion. I think that when you follow the law, remember, she was adamantly against the death penalty. And some people said that means you're too liberal. And she enforced the laws on the books. And some people wouldn't be saying you're too conservative. The fact of the matter is, she was a successful district attorney, a successful attorney general, an effective United States senator, and I think she'd be just as good as vice president of the United States and would make a tremendous chief executive if it were to come to that.
One has to anticipate what the opposition will do with any candidate. How do you expect President Trump to brand Senator Harris? He likes to brand people like Sleepy Joe and things like that. What do you think he'll try to do with Senator Harris?
Well, he's already tried one out. He's called a phony Harris. The fact of the matter is, there's never been a bigger phony in the White House than Donald Trump. He said that she doesn't tell the truth. Give me a break. The Washington Post, the fact checkers in this country, said that this president tells more falsehoods than anybody that ever occupied the office. I have been saying for a long time, the one thing you can count on with Donald Trump is that every negative that he can conjure up in his own personality, he tries to transfer it to somebody else. So he's going to get up every morning and think about how bad am I on this subject, and he'll find a name to try to put on her. But I think that she has defined herself well, and he is not going to be able to rebrand her. She is an effective prosecutor, and she can prosecute policies as well as she prosecuted the criminal courts.
Congressman, with the Democratic convention next week, we come to the end of a very vigorous process with several candidates up there on the stage, back and forth, a lot of criticism. One of the questions throughout that process was, can anybody bring together the left wing of the party with the centrists? That is the Bernie Sanders, the Elizabeth Warren supporters. Do we think that Senator Harris can bring the left together with the center?
I think so, because they're getting a lot of help. Donald Trump is giving this ticket all the help it needs to do that. I think that people have already got enough reason to vote against this president, against this administration. And so what I think that Biden and Harris will have to do is lay out the reasons as to why we should vote for them. We know why to vote against Trump. Why should we vote for you? And I have been saying for a long time now, and I've said it publicly, we have to get people to understand exactly what this administration's policies mean for them personally, for their families, and then for their communities. And I believe that that's what this is all about. It is about the person. It is about the family. It's about the community. It's about what this country's motto is, E pluribus unum, out of many, one. That's what this campaign is all about. And that's why Biden is saying we will bring it back better. And that's what this campaign is going to be about.